How are you doing?
Hey, I'm wonderful. And so hopefully everybody else is wonderful too. Hey, everybody, welcome
Hello,
back. Thank you for
welcome back.
joining us.
Thank
We're
you.
so excited.
I am excited. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Same,
Yeah.
same. So what's going on? What is the
What-
topic that you feel like we should jump into today? What's on your heart?
What's on my heart? I want to go through all the systems that I kind of cover in the back of the house and
Okay.
just kind of bullet point that and give people a brief description of what I think of with it.
Okay,
So,
that's wonderful.
yeah. How
Can
about you?
I jump in with a question right away?
Yeah, of course.
So, talk to me in general. What does hospitality mean to you, Tim? Like literally, when you think of the word hospitality, what comes to mind for you? Like
You know what I
what is
think of?
hospitality?
For me, it's cooking a meal and inviting people into my house. And I
Oh, I
love
love
doing
that.
that. And that's why I like restaurants so much. It's why I got into restaurant accounting and working in the
Okay.
back of the house because I lived in a tiny little condo. I had a small kitchen, I had a small dining room, and I could invite people over, but I really wanted to kind of experience that on a bigger scale. And
Mm-hmm.
I got into restaurants. That's really what it was.
Right.
I love cooking. I love bringing people uh, cooking meals that they can bond over. I love like the conversation that happens around wine and candles and like lit tapers and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
Um,
So just basically breaking bread together and just hosting a nice get together with possibly also strangers meeting other people and they're forming bonds with each other on any kind of level. And it's just bringing people together over a good home cooked meal.
oh yeah, yeah. How about you?
Right. I get it.
Why did you get into hospitality?
Why did I get into hospitality is honestly, it wasn't even like that I had a choice to do this or the other. And it wasn't really like that it was forced on me either. It was really honestly like I'm in this world since I can remember walking
Yeah.
because I would either be with mom at the hotel or with dad at the restaurant. And it like, we would love when we would drive from Germany to Serbia, where my parents are from, well, Serbia and Hungary, we would stop, and it'd be kind of like a regimen for us to stop at two specific restaurants where I was five. And I'm like, no, no, I want soup and I want to sit at the table with the white tablecloth. And so it's yeah. And and it was kind of like a 2 yearly thing. Every year 2 times we would do this, and that's kind of like it kind of stuck with me, like you said, the clinking of the glasses and the cheering with each other and the speeches in between, and even tears that you have sometimes crying over when you have a meal with somebody, and the emotions come out, or laughter.
Yep.
It's really what you said, like bringing people together over a just home, warm, cooked meal. And I feel hospitality to me really means exactly that, right? It's the warmth that we bring to our guests in our environment. And that could be anything. It could be really like a huge hotel, or
Mhm.
it could be a small restaurant, or it could be a food truck, or it could be a resort. It could be really anything.
Yeah.
But I feel like hospitality really means to allow people to get a break without asking for anything. Those are the best. To me, those are the best, experiences when I enter an establishment and literally everything is just being catered to me. And I'm not trying to sound all bougie, even though I like bouginess.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I'm saying like it's wonderful when you enter an establishment and nobody like and you just don't have to ask, where does the luggage go? Can you bring the luggage up? Where do I park? Where is the pool? What's the hour? Like everything is just being nicely in specific standards brought to you.
Mhm.
And I feel like that to me really means hospitality, for people to enter a space and then the smell and the look and the environment and the music and the people and the uniforms and everything nicely coordinated kind of like works off of each other.
Mhm.
And I strive for that. Like yeah, that's my thing.
Oh, I
I
love
love
it. I
that.
love it. I love being served and picking up on the little details too that show the people taking care of you really care. Like being served from the proper side or them holding the plates the proper way and presenting it all properly. And it stands out to me. I love that.
It does make a difference. And I feel like it's the same with accounting. Don't you feel like if you really train and it sounds so funny to say I'm training owners or I'm training investors, because we're not here to say that they have no knowledge. We're just here to help polish the knowledge a little.
Oh, sure.
And it's basically the same thing with accounting, because or with like the work that you do, because you need everything to be standard-wise set in the right compartments, so that when we are opening our doors, we're not, oh my God, we didn't encounter the linen guy, we didn't encounter the wine guy, we didn't encounter the whoever guy. Right. And so it's imperative that we understand that, yes, it's a beautiful business to cut the ribbon and open the doors and invite people in. But fundamentally, after all, it is a business that is where big money is involved.
Yeah.
And I feel like, so what would you say is like the main three things for you when you think about hospitality and you think about wanting to help a client? What's like the first three things where you're like, I gotta check that out? Those are the three things, and I'm sure it's more, but those are like the three things where you're like, that is the first thing I'm gonna take a peek at. And because for you inside, you can make a good assessment of like, where are they standing? Like, is it a good foot? Is it like a, what would you?
The first thing I look at is their tech stack, because if they have the right technology in place, their books will be okay. Their customers will be taken care of. They'll have the opportunity to offer the right loyalty program. They'll be able to track guests that make reservations and repeat customers. They'll be able to really hone in on that experience and work efficiently instead of doing things on paper. I've been in restaurants where accounting's done on paper still, and it's so inefficient and it's not accurate, and it's kind of a mess.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. But the same thing with restaurants. I can think of places. I'm thinking of a place in the city in Chicago where I live that uses a book still and just writes down reservations for the day, and it works for them. They've been in business a long time, but they could get so much more out of some technology.
Yeah, it's just the efficiency that comes with technology these days. And I'm all for old school. Like, when we talk about the menus and the scanning of the menu, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about that. On one side, I'm thinking for the person that is literally in a rush and it's like a techie person, like constantly on the phone or constantly on the laptop, that's wonderful. There's no personal engagement needed for introverted people. But for like extroverted people like myself, I'm like, hi, do you want to tell me about the menu? And hi, I've never been here, and tell me,
Yeah, I haven't gotten used to the whole QR code thing for the menu yet either. I actually brewed beer over the summer as a beer brewer at like this brewery that's 6 minutes from my house, a 6-minute walk. And we're there, and they've got QR codes on the table so that they don't have menus, and they're trying to move into like the 21st century and out of kind of this nano brewery mindset. And I'm not sure I like it for them. I really like, customer facing, and the brewers worked as the bar staff. So you talk to people and you really got an idea of what went into the beer and what it tastes like, as opposed to.
And not only that, but if they have the knowledge even to sell you this kind of, because what if you're allergic against something, and then what? Nobody's going to tell you.
Oh, sure.
But I mean, that's maybe. Yeah, that might be a good thing for everybody to open up the floor. Like, how do we feel about QR codes for the menus? Yay or nay? Like, let us know how everybody feels. I mean, I think it's okay, but I personally prefer like an old school style of, hi, welcome to, this is our menu. Let me walk you through it. Matter of fact, don't even look at the menu. Look at me, the cute waiter. Let me break it down, And so I'm more like for that, but I'm not against the QR code at all. I think it's very helpful if you are very in a rush or something, and you're just, you have like your 2 kids with you. You're like, I don't need to talk. I just need to look at this menu and I need to order and go.
Yeah, especially for like takeout. I do see like the purpose in takeout. I can get it.
Right. Good point.
But then there's definitely times where I'd rather talk to someone and see them.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Did you finish up? I'm so sorry. I know we got cut off, but like,
Oh,
did you finish your other
uh,
points to the
no.
three? I know it's the technology, and then there was two more
Technology.
because I'm
Yeah, two
curious.
more. So what are the other ones? Let me look at my notes here. Technology would definitely be it. I look at their books. And so if they use QuickBooks, I look at how they have it set up. If they use Restaurant 365, that's kind of always a plus because it's a better set of books for restaurants. It's better.
Oh, really? That's good to know.
Yeah, I love Restaurant 365.
Mhm.
But so I look at their books, I make sure that their accounts are reconciled, that they've done kind of the standard things you would do every couple of weeks or every month.
Right.
And from that, you can see if it's really, if the accounting system is up to date or if it's not. And then you can see how it's not. So that would be point number two, is their books, their tech stack. Number three would be written procedures, I think. Do they have procedures and checklists? Because I kind of, even in my accounting practice, I live by checklists. I think it just makes everything much easier, especially if you're trying to close.
Totally.
You know, you're done with a long shift.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I look for. So yeah, tech stack, the accounting records, and then do they have checklists and procedures? How about you?
Yeah, I think that sounds correctly in order to me. I mean, that's imperative. All of those are so imperative because if one is missing or off, I don't know, it's gonna get complicated. It's gonna get difficult down the road because those are really things that are needing to be in place. And I feel like that's where people and investors and owners should really start considering to hire people to make sure that all of the trainings are wrapped up and that everybody basically is on the same
Same thing.
book side in a sense, so that we can all have the same goal.
Yeah. So what do you look for when you go into a restaurant for the first time?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you like to be on site. You don't do Zoom a whole lot with clients for the first time. You walk into a place, you're going to observe a service for the first time. What do you look for? What are your big three?
Yeah, I mean, I do Zooms. I don't like to observe the first time. You're right about that. I'd rather fly into wherever they're located because it's all about the energy for me too. Mm-hmm. So for me, the first three things that I really look at is in any establishment is how do I feel when I enter? Am I being acknowledged? Right? That's like the first thing for me. Like everything matters. Like the driveway, the exterior, is it chippy on the wall? Are we, taking care of our guests that are, for instance, smokers? And I know there can be a big debate. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying in or out. It's not my thing. I'm just saying there are people that smoke cigarettes, and so they can. And so if they are guests at our hotel, where can they do so? Do they have to be shoved off to the side and feel like an outsider? Or can we create like a beautiful something even for them even, I'm gonna grab a coffee to go and I'm gonna have my smoke here, like let's make people comfortable with whatever people like to do in their private time. So that's number one. It's imperative for me to really take a good look at not only the single departments, but also like the overall picture, like from exterior into interior, the smell, the music, the uniforms, how people are, basically moving on the floor. And so when I look at servers and food and beverage staff, which is basically my favorite water to swim in, it's for me, it's all about who's doing what. Like I can see very quick if I'm sitting somewhere and enjoying either a meal or a coffee, an appetizer or a glass of wine or whatever, I can see very fast if people know what they're doing on the floor. Right? Because as last time talked over, there's a huge difference between an order taker and a person that understands hospitality and is actually a salesperson on the floor. Mm-hmm. And that to me is number two. How do people really move on the floor? Are they like engaging? If they are engaging with each other, are they doing it appropriately? Are they touching their hair, their face, their makeup, and then their don't go wash hands? Like that all matters to me. Right? If pretty girls have like long hair, I would love them to have like a beautiful ponytail or like a bun or something where nothing, or like in the summer, I understand it's hot, but my biggest pet peeve anywhere is literally people with like tank tops reaching over. Oh. I can't with that. Like there's just specific standards in hospitality where I understand if you're like a cool hip bar or like, like a cool sports bar or something, that's cool. but like fundamentally then train your people on appropriate body movements when they serve their food to their guests, you know?
Yep.
So that's big to me. That's number two. And number three, it's literally like who's the manager? Who's responsible for leading the operation, you know, the team? Like who are those people? Where are they and what are they doing? How are they involved in daily steps? It's one thing to be a great manager and know all your book stuff and your paper stuff and sit all day in an office, but it's a whole nother to really be on hands and really be there for your team when stuff hits the fan.
Oh yeah,
right.
And on the floor and helping make your team the best team they can be.
Absolutely, because especially if it's busy, you know, like a manager to me is really there to, number one, reach under everybody's arm if anybody needs help in their station, and also to make guests comfortable. Hi, how are you enjoying your lunch, your dinner? It's so nice that you're here. Have you been here before? Like chit-chatting, like a host.
Like a host,
and I understand, and I understand there's maitre d' and there's specific positions that we get into at one point, but that to me is really a good manager that literally has an eye on their team. That's like the Papa Smurf over their little village, like who needs help? I'm here to help kind of thing.
I was talking to someone who had been a floor manager and then a GM and now he does other stuff, but he kept kind of moving up the corporate ladder at restaurants. But he said what he really he had just heard the term servant leader for the first time, but he realized he kept getting promotions because he was one, because he would be on the floor as a floor manager, taking all the dirty dishes away from the wait staff to make sure the wait staff was on the floor taking care of the customers instead of dealing with dirty dishes. He was always kind of doing things to stay one step ahead of an unhappy guest, to make sure the guest experience was the best it could be.
Absolutely.
One thing you said that really kind of sparked my interest was the whole smoking thing. Having a nice place, a nice kind of loungy place where someone can go smoke a cigarette is a great idea, right? Especially if you're a hotel, because there's two sides to smoking, right? There's the kind of cigarettes, but then there's the really cool cigar bar. And having that experience for people who want to go have a smoke in their cup of coffee or smoking a wine is
absolutely
a big thing.
And believe it or not, and every smoker will agree with this, people that are smokers, they will drink fundamentally more. So it's actually a good idea for you to know this. And I know a lot of people that maybe used to smoke, like myself, or people that are watching or whatever, they know that because, you just get into the groove. You just had a nice meal, you smoke, you chat, you this and that, you flirt, whatever. And then, another bottle or another cocktail, whatever. Yeah. And I understand, I'm not saying anybody should go against state laws, because there is laws after all that we should always respect, but if the possibility and the opportunity is there to create such thing, please take it into consideration. And it doesn't have to be a full-blown out lounge, like with the pool and the dancers and it can be just literally like a beautiful little designated area where people feel like I can sit nicely down. I don't have to stand by the ashtray away from no. Like even in my house, like you're not going to smoke in my house, but I have a patio. Let's sit comfortably on my patio,
Yeah. Something that's nicer than a piece of AstroTurf and the ashtray that's kind of like the, urn you just ash into. So, yeah. Yep.
Well, Tim, this was so fun. I think, I think this was great. And I hope everybody else had a little bit of enjoyment out of this conversation. I'm excited for us to catch each other next week.
Yeah, it was great.
And I think like I want to keep this going as if I don't have a plan. What do we want to talk about next week? Whatever's on our heart. I feel like we'll talk.
That works for me. That's great. I think thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.